with me because I had started doing some of the same things you done.
Well, hang on. He asked you a question. King, did you hear his question? His question was, do you have it on video? Because what happens in courts is recorded.
Right.
Do you have the recording for that?
I'm pretty sure they do, but I'm pretty scared about what's happened to me since then. And what I've been through, not only mentally, but spiritually.
Well, hang on, James, is that something you can FOIA?
I don't know. It depends on the state you're in, but you can probably get a transcript of the proceeding.
Okay, so
we don't guys would listen to me.
Hold on, King. Go ahead, James.
We usually go for recordings because the transcripts almost always don't match the recordings. When we do our own recordings in courtrooms with our own recording devices, they almost never match the transcript. So,
when I say transcript, I mean both written, audio, video. I use transcript, universally. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, King.
Okay.
That's not even the worst of it.
Okay.
After that, I was took to the hospital. I am a very polite man. I'm a good Christian guy, you would say. They started going there, and I said, ma'am, I don't want to be subject to anything being put in my body or taken out of my body. I'm fine. Give me some ibuprofen. I forgive whoever for whatever, and let me go home. He had gave me a contempt of court for 24 hours. So I said, just send me to the cell, let me get out the next day. And I was still kind of foggy-headed, but I wasn't fighting back. There was no use to inject me with no sedative or anything. They wanted my urine and blood. And I said, no, ma'am, no, thank you. I didn't fight or nothing. Well, the judge gets on the phone with the cop, and he starts using intimidation tactics, putting on gloves, coming over, smacking them, acting like they're going to hold me down. And I'm like, gosh, if I don't do whatever they want, I'm going to get a charge, or something bad's going to happen. I done about being killed. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing I know, I said, okay, sir, do whatever you want. And I'm looking to the left, and I didn't notice the woman on my right has got a needle behind her back and sticks it in my arm. And I'm like, what in the world are you doing? Now, at this time, I'm a little upset, because now they put something foreign that I had no idea what it is into my body. I told them I didn't want to be subject to radiation. They take me to the MRI. They sit there and done their little MRI thing a couple of times. They take me back, and as their little funny thing, they fed me gravy and biscuits. It's all wordplay if you get it. Grave, eat.
Wait, what? Say it again. Is wordplay on what?
Everybody else in the jail got a certain kind of food.
Right.
But I got served gravy and biscuits.
You're saying that they symbolically sent you biscuits, gravy, like as the grave?
Yes, bro. Whoa, don't laugh.
King, come on now.
These
gravy,
are
so they were. So wait, King. So this to you was a veiled threat.
King, I like you.
So
you're very polite. You're right. You're very
it's
polite, but that doesn't make any sense.
Is this really what he's saying?
Hey,
that they served you biscuits and gravy.
You don't have the eye and ears to hear and see it.
Oh, okay, wait, great, King. I really hate straw manning, so I want to make sure that I hear you correctly. You're saying that they served you specifically biscuits and gravy, and that is symbolic of the grave, and you were fearful of your life because of that?
And does that make you a biscuit?
I'm telling you that everybody in my cell block got served a certain kind of food but me, and I didn't realize why until later on.
Does that mean
and because you got served
makes you a biscuit, right?
What does that mean to you? Yeah. I'm not understanding the symbology here. Is it gravy has to do with the grave?
Never mind. Let's make fun of the dude that got
King.
I'm asking.
Look, we're not making. Look, listen. We're not meaning to make fun of you. But you have to understand.
It was kind of funny when I started getting the hint.
You have to understand how ridiculous that is. That they're sending you a signal through a breakfast food. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
It does till after that happens, and then you go walking to try to make money, getting a job, going to the library, trying to make legal documents, and somebody comes up to me and says, "I hope you like that gravy and biscuits." Right before that, you get almost run over on the side of the road. it's not me thinking that. It's like subtle suggestion. You heard of sign language?
Yes.
It's like someone suggest. I didn't never think of that, but if somebody almost hits you on the side of the road 1 or 2 times before you get to your destination, literally, and then somebody after that walks up to you and says, "Hey, you like a biscuit and gravy?" I'm just saying. And it was weird that everybody in the whole cell got served something. Okay, y'all are very good at analyzing information. If I gave you that, would that sound like a suggestion?
No. What about
Let's be real.
What if I gave somebody pancakes for breakfast? What would that symbolize?
Well, I don't know.
The Earth is flat.
I'm not the one using the word magic.
I'm just saying, like, look, we're not. I'm not trying to make fun of you because, like you said, you're a very polite. You're a very polite guy, and you've been respectful in here. But there's a line that you can go. Like, if you think that there's that the court system's after you, that's whether they are or not. That's something that a lot of people think, and it's not that far in left field. But to think that they're gonna send you a sign in breakfast food, I think it just goes too far, King.
And why did everybody in the block of 23 people get served something totally different than me?
Were you in SEG?
I was in population.
And you're the only one that got gravy biscuits?
Only one.
What did everybody else get?
Or I wouldn't be saying something about it. I'm a very intelligent man.
Well, hold on. What did everybody else get? What did everybody else get? King, what did everybody else get?
Okay, never mind. That's not important. Let's not get on the tangent.
Well, it is important because if you were spitting out your teeth, you would have to have something that's soft, right? That may be why you got. That may be why you got a different food.
So eggs and grits that everybody else got was too hard.
Well, that's because everybody else is, kind of scrambled in the head. They may have been sending you.
All right, guys. Let's get back to the fractional banking system that sells like cattle.
Okay. Go ahead. Artie, were you going to say something?
No, I got nothing.
Okay, go ahead, King.
Anyway, I don't know why that was so funny. I just thought it was. Anyway. What as far as the sovereign citizen thing, what do y'all think that all these thousands of people are finding or educating themselves on that is changing their hearts and minds so much to? I mean, there's got to be something there. What is it?
Well, I would say that's the advent of the internet. Because if I have to be honest with you, like I was telling folks before the show, based on my research, this sort of a lot of these arguments, like as you kind of mentioned, the Federal Reserve, the 1933, these arguments were put forth in the early the mid 70s to the early 80s, and they were rejected as absurdities and frivolous. And here we are, about 50 years or 40 years later, and people are doing it again. My guess is that the advent of the internet has allowed these ideas and these beliefs to spread once again to folks who had never experienced it before. And that's where my theory is on why there seems to be so many thousands of people trying to employ these ideas to try and get out of whatever legal situation that they're in.
And James?
I'd have to agree. I think it's the internet. More specifically, though, like I said, a lot of us are coming to are beginning to believe in the principle of no victim, no crime. And I don't know. I think the sovereign citizen movement, as I understand it now today, that I haven't understood it before, I think it's just, I'd say, the radicals that that are against. Let's see.
Okay, James, can I ask you a question, brother?
Yeah.
What is the collateral for our national debt?
I'm sorry?
What do you think is our collateral for our national debt?
I don't know. I think what I'm trying to say is that I feel like that feel like they're backed into a corner and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to think rationally anymore because they feel like they're being oppressed constantly. And so instead of moving forward with rational thought to solve the problem, they just throw their hands up in the air and say, you know what, none of this applies to me.
Well, I agree with you, James. In the sense, I would agree with you, James, in the sense that in my experience, as with seemingly all movements, Flat Earth is included in this. There's gurus, there's true believers, and then there's marks. There's victims, and I believe the gurus, they prey on people who are in dire legal straits. Most of the times when I see this, people are in a bad financial situation. They're facing foreclosure on their homes. They are in prison for anywhere from, as you say, a simple drug possession to capital murder. This spans all legal difficulties, but it preys on people's concerns and their fears. And that's where I feel like a lot of them become because I feel like a lot of these people who employ these tactics, a lot of them don't really actually truly believe this. They just consider it a get out of jail free card. So they buy into it.
I've employed some of this stuff in court, not thinking that it was legitimate in every way, but saying, you know what, maybe challenging jurisdiction will stall a little bit so I can figure out what to do. and it did.
Well,
but I in no way whatsoever.
You're not entirely wrong in the sense that it is a great way to gum up the system. I mean, it is a very valid tactic that many of them use. And you know what? If between you and me, sometimes these county prosecutors they need to brush up on their work. So it's always good to give them a refresher.
Yes, you can.
Okay, let's say we have 10 people. 5 of them.
A what?
They write down 100 laws.
Let's say you have 10 people. All right, go ahead, King.
Okay.
You have 10 people, and they write down 100 laws. Okay, 5 of them agree with all the 100 laws, and 4 of them don't. Do the 5 get to dictate to the 4 that don't agree with those laws in a democracy called mob rule, or do we have a republic where we are all kings and queens creating a government?
I'm definitely.
Where's the 10th person?
You
said it was 5, and then you said there's 10 people. 5 of them believed in one law, 4 of them disagreed. Where's the 10th person?
Yeah, where's the 10th person?
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's, I meant 6 to 4.
Okay.
The 10th person is a dead Democrat voter.
The 5 that agreed are bound by that law because they have contracted in to agree with that law. We're just using common sense here. Okay. Statutory, like if you have McDonald's and you have franchises of that McDonald's, they have rules, codes, and regulations for McDonald's. Okay? That is the same thing with the United States, the corporate industry doing business as the United States on the stock exchange, just like New York, all the other states. Okay, when you are contracted through your birth certificate, you have become a franchise doing business as a franchise of the federal state.
But we've already explained how that's not the case and why that's not the case. That's not a thing.
The United States is a representative republic. You make your voice known by voting in elections. You vote for a representative, and that representative is who you believe writes the laws. But there is also an understanding that when you have the majorities of both houses of Congress and signed by the president, that what is the bill that's signed becomes law, and it's applicable to everybody, even if people disagreed with the law as it was put in place. I mean, that is the foundation of our government of how of the United States, or at least on the paper of how it's supposed to operate.
And your example.
Yes, you are going to be subject to laws that you may not agree with.